Time now for the Sports Six-Pack with Andrew Rogers.
You know the drill. It's time to send in those questions. It's the Sports Six-Pack, and where are we? Well, we are at Hale Varsity Club, the best place to enjoy a six-pack. Bring your friends, bring your family, and have a great time at Hale Varsity Club watching the sporting event of your choosing, or just enjoying the great company that you come along with. We're here to have some fun. We have some questions loaded up. It's a fantasy football Wednesday because, Shaner, the playoffs start this week. So you've got the questions. Hit me.
Question number 1.
Man, that tastes good. Which player was your top priority on waivers?
Gosh, I mean, the waivers have been so dry lately.
My beer hasn't been.
No, it hasn't. And
I don't really do the dry beer.
Hey, it's going down well, as you said. I would say Evan Engram. Because tight ends are so hard to come by. So few and far between, and they're difficult to have a consistent tight end. And he's been consistent over the last 2 weeks. He went for 5 catches, 30 yards, and a touchdown 2 weeks ago. This past week, he went off, erupted for 162 yards, 2 scores. Now he has Dallas coming up this week. Not a good matchup. They've only allowed 1 touchdown to tight ends this year. I think like 450 receiving yards, 2 all season long. They've been incredible defensively. But Jacksonville will be forced to throw to compete in this game. We saw Houston was able to compete last week. Why can't that be Jacksonville too? He had 11 catches, 15 targets against the Titans. Bad pass defense, but he has top 30-plus yards in 6 of 13 games this season. That's roughly half. I'm looking at a Evan Engram difference maker now that the playoffs have arrived.
Question number 2.
If you don't make the playoffs, should you still be able to use your waiver?
No.
Okay, fair enough.
No, you shouldn't. I mean, I know there's a big topic. I got a funny story, too, to follow this. But if people use their waiver and they're in the consolation bracket and it affects people in the playoffs, like that shouldn't happen. There should be some type of system where if you're in the consolation bracket, you should have to wait for the second waiver period to make a pick. I think everybody's on the same page there. Now, the haters will say, well, I paid for the league. Why can't I pick up players anytime I want? I mean, you bring up a good point, but think about what you're doing here. You have nothing on the line. Unless you have some sort of punishment if you get last place. Then I say you pick up players at any rate. I don't care if you use your waiver and you're in the consolation bracket. You're trying to avoid getting last place because you may have to make a Miley Cyrus Wrecking Ball music video if you get 10th.
Sure.
Like, you don't want to do that. Nobody does.
Right.
Now, my funny story for you is I was in a consolation bracket where the 10th place didn't matter.
Okay.
And the guy that was the commissioner of the league was a huge Richard to me after the final week. So because I got mad, this league was set up so obnoxiously. You could pick up players at any time. There was no waiver. So I would work every weekend, and I would miss a lot of football, and my guy would go down, somebody would pick him up right away, which is BS. You should never be able to do that, but that's how this league was ran and operated. So because I was so ticked off about how the league was put together, I never knew the rules going in either. They just needed somebody last minute, and I said I would join. And because he was a huge Richard to me down the stretch, I saw Melvin Gordon go down with injury. And this was when he was on the Chargers. I was watching the game. Nothing to worry about, but Austin Eckler was available. And when Melvin went down, I picked up Austin Eckler, and a huge texting brawl broke out between him, the rest of the league, and me. And everybody, because they were related to this dude, were on his side.
Of course.
And so I don't know if he ended up dropping him from my team or if I held on to him, but I basically got into it with him and never joined that league again.
Question number 3.
Who's just not cutting it anymore?
Kareem Hunt.
Fair enough.
He has been a handcuff for me all season long. And, frankly, over the past 2 seasons, you could rely on him to be a number 2 running back or a flex play every week.
Okay.
And he's the number 2 in that system.
Okay.
Which is crazy. I mean, a guy that's 90% owned. But this year, he just hasn't found his stride. I don't know if it's because he wanted to be traded and the Browns said no to that, or if it's because Nick Chubb has, I think, taken a step up this year and elevated his game. All I do know is roster space isn't meant for Kareem Hunt right now, and you can feel comfortable dropping him.
Question number 4.
You know what I'm not going to drop? My beer.
Ooh. Where's mine?
I probably dropped that one. Who's
Thanks.
going to be the fantasy difference maker this week? I assume it's this week.
This week?
Yeah.
Not even this week. How about all playoffs? I'm going Jalen Hurts.
You're going to go all playoffs?
Yeah, Jalen Hurts.
Okay.
He is, and he has been all season long. And I know I'm not going out on a limb by saying that, but Jalen Hurts has been Mr. Production when it comes to points. If you have Jalen Hurts, you'll win more weeks than you'll lose.
Oh, okay.
Because of his dual threat ability. He always ends up in the end zone, whether it's rushing or passing. He'll find ways to get you points, and he'll never disappoint. Knock on wood. I just knocked. Jalen Hurts will be the fantasy difference maker for the playoffs. If you have him, you're set.
Question number 5.
Who's going to be the fantasy playoff bust? That's a good question. I saw that and I was like, yeah.
I don't know. I mean,
That's a tough one.
there are a lot of possibilities, but if I had to just go to one, I'll talk about my team here.
Okay, what do you got?
Not even my fantasy team, but my favorite NFL team, which is the Chicago Bears. I think David Montgomery will end up being a fantasy playoff bust.
Probably happen.
And it's just because, his numbers are so inconsistent. You could see him rush for 70 yards and catch for 30, and you're like, wow, I can make do with that. But you could also see him have 37 rush yards and 4 receiving yards. Starting running back, no Khalil Herbert right now? I don't know. Now, early on, he'll be fine, but Khalil Herbert could come back in week 16. That's not this week, but next week. He could be back, and he may cut into D-Mount's workload, and that could present a bust scenario. So that's why I'm going to stick with him.
You're going to stick with him?
Yeah.
Okay.
Question number 6.
If I need more advice, where can I find it, Andrew? If I need more beer, where can I find it?
Well, you can find it at Hale Varsity Club, that's for sure. But if you need more advice, go to Hurrdat Sports and click on the God Bless Fantasy Football podcast. You know why?
Why?
Because we are recording a live show today. I know this podcast is going to air after we record it, but go back and watch God Bless Fantasy Football. We are doing a fantasy playoff show.
Oh, God bless
That's
you.
where you get it. Oh, thank you. God bless you.
Well, thank you. That's enough of that.
Yeah.
See it? Catch more of Andrew Rogers from 7 to 9 in the morning on Hale Varsity Radio.